Yo, what's up guys, Non-Zero here, and today's video is going to be just like a brief few tips on what you can do to climb. Now, you might think this, but climbing is not so much about like just like playing whatever deck you have versus their deck and winning. No, there are actually like several different things that actually go into climbing. Well, at least climbing several dozen points at a time. Even for me, okay. So, as you may know from my reaching Grandmaster video, on the day I got Grandmaster, I played like 12, maybe more. Yeah, I played close to like 12 to maybe like 14, maybe even more hours, and it was a very difficult task. I didn't actually do it all at once though. Well, I mean, I did it all in the span of one day, but not just like a steady stream of playing. And that's because there were certain things that I needed to do, and I needed to accept. The first thing you have to accept is that at some point during these, you're gonna get tilted. Like, it doesn't matter how tilted you get. Like, if you reach the point where you realize that you're getting angry, that's when you need to take a break. For me, what I do is I usually have a sort of like and this is gonna sound stupid, I have a sort of like ritual slash training montage when I do this, where I have a few habits. For one, I tend to listen to a lot of songs on repeat on my playlist. So what I'll do is I'll play a song. If it's usually gonna be something I like, usually something that's upbeat. If I'm winning a lot, I'll go ahead and I'll stay on the same song. However, if I lose, like maybe like one or two in a row or something like that, I'll go ahead and switch songs. Again, it's important to remember that that at some point during these, you're gonna get tilted, especially if you're trying to grind for like 2,000 points in a day or something like that. Just because if you're not playing aggro, it's gonna be kind of rough a little bit. And even playing aggro, even that's kind of rough if you don't go first. But the other thing was when I took a break and I stopped playing, I legitimately just like dropped the game altogether. Just, turned it off, went ahead and did some other stuff for maybe like 20 to 30 minutes or so, and then I would come back and then I would go ahead and start playing again. Just because it's important to kind of keep all of your tilt down and not just try to like slog through it all at once and just try to ignore your tilt, because like tilt's one of those things that kind of like creeps up on you. It's kind of like, well, cancer. And and it's one of those things that like that you don't want it to get terminal before it's too late. You want to try to like cut it off at like stage 1 and just try to like notice the symptoms. Well, don't get me wrong, there are some very, very infuriating games that are going to happen where it's just like, oh, well, either you got high rolled, or oh, well, I did not have my deck for lethal, or to just clear his board, or yeah, there are a lot of this that happens. Like, I think I touched on this as well, but in an earlier video, I did mention how I'm like 0-3 or like 0-4 versus Hamsa Dragon, just because they always find windmills and I just never find a Bahamut in time. In fact, for one of those games, I think I drew like 12 cards and still did not find a Bahamut in time, and eventually he forced me to play real cards, so I couldn't just suicide, and then I died. These games are gonna happen, and you have to try to like make your peace with it as best as possible. There's also just sort of like ignoring everything that happened in each game and kind of like just like letting it go, because the only thing that really matters for the most part is, did you win and did you lose? Now, if you lost and you're not quite sure how you lost, then of course it's important to go ahead and like review the game. That is something that I strive for a lot, and and I've noticed that like for a lot of people it does like markedly improve your performance if you can objectively look at your game and see mistakes that you might have made. Now you might not notice it at first just because you're in the heat of the game. You're not really, and you're sometimes like kind of on autopilot. But when you can like kind of like step back from the game and kind of like look at it as like a third party, then you'll see a few things here and there that you might have missed. Like for example, maybe you played on curve one time, but you had an off curve play that was just like a lot better, or maybe you had a way to like avoid lethal, or even set up a lethal of your own, and you just kind of like didn't take it for whatever reason. It's honestly just little things like that. The other thing is, and this is also seemingly simple, but a lot of people forget it. Make sure to stay hydrated. Like, it's very, very important that you have like a giant bottle of water next to you when you're doing this, just because that way you just kind of like drink, take a sip every now and then, and you like stay relaxed while you're playing. Just because like for me personally, I've had some games where like I was really thirsty and that kind of distracted me and I wasn't really thinking about it, like, and I kind of like messed up some of my plays just because I was like, damn, I'm really thirsty right now. I gotta get something to drink. But yeah, I think there was like one or two more things I was supposed to mention. Oh. The last thing is, don't try to climb too many points all at once. Like, it's important to remember that at the end of the day, Shadowverse is just a game. Like, for me, even though I did this crazy climb, and I'll most likely try it again in 3 months, it's still it's rough on you. Like, alright, because like for me, I played for so long all at once, and again, this thing also that I shouldn't do is you try to like limit how long you're gonna like spend climbing each day, like, because like I noticed that like after I spent all that time playing, that like my mind was just like wired and I just like could not sleep for a few hours. It was just pretty rough for me overall, because like it really like messed up my sleep schedule. I mean, sure, like I was able to achieve what I wanted, but we also have to remember what happens if I don't achieve that. Like, they don't just have like wasted away a perfectly good day, when instead you could have like compartmentalized and maybe just like spent maybe like 5 hours, something like that, just trying to climb it, and then just, if you get it, good. If you don't get it, okay, wait till the next day, or just wait till the next time where you're like in the mood to play. But again, it's very, very important to take breaks, so that way you can kind of like keep your mind fresh, and you're not just like accidentally like autopiloting some things, just because there are some games where no, you're not supposed to autopilot this. You're actually supposed to like go ahead and think about all of your options, instead of just like, oh, 5-second dings for ding, frags are done, and you just try to like shotgun your way through a turn, because that's going to get you killed. Like, you might not think it, but it is. But yeah, hopefully these helped. I kind of just did this on a whim, just because I know that like a lot of you guys are currently in the process of climbing, and of course a lot of you guys are getting tilted, just because like there's some pretty infuriating bullshit sometimes. I will not lie to you about that. However, it's important to remember that you can in fact persevere through it, and that yes, while some of these games are going to be rough, and while you're not going to enjoy yourself all the time, that as long as you're like learning something when you lose, I mean like actually like seriously losing, not like a sarcastically, oh well, I learned that neutrals are broken, no, like as long as you're like actively like learning stuff, like both about either you or like your deck as you play. Like for example, maybe maybe this card you put in wasn't actually that good, or maybe maybe there's a card that you should be putting in that they just aren't. The other thing that I guess I should talk about is what deck you're using to climb. Now, there are a few different decks that you can use to climb right now. I'll actually be making a separate video and taking a look at a bunch of decks that I saw that were actually doing like really well, and I'll just go ahead and like break it down card by card, and I'll explain why the list works. But it's important to remember that, okay, well, if you're a one-trick pony, that you have several different lists to combat each of the things that are meta. Like right now, what's meta is Aegis, Ramp Dragon, Spawn, Blood as a whole, and then maybe some like offshoot like rune decks and whatnot. Now, you might be wondering, oh, well, I want to beat all of them at once. How do I do that? It's very, very unlikely that you beat all of them. They beat like all of them. That you consistently beat all of them at once, unless you're like playing like Spawn Blood. But then that kind of comes down to the, oh, well, how good are your mulligans and how bad is your opponent? But it's important to kind of have a deck archetype to have an archetype for each class you want to play. Like, again, if you are a one trick pony, this will be especially important for you. However, if you are planning to play more than one deck, then you can go ahead and you can kind of scroll through like 3 or 4 decks. Usually, I usually do 2 to 3 if I'm gonna do this. But yeah, scroll through like two or three decks, just so that way you're kind of like keeping things fresh for yourself. You're not getting like too bored, because like I've noticed that like a lot of times like people, they kind of like, when they get like bored due to like repetition or anything like that, they'll kind of like start making some errors, just because like they'll be like getting too comfortable in the emotions, and that's something that you want to avoid for the most part, at least as far as like in the game to game situations. Just because while yes you will be playing the same deck versus you will be playing the same deck, or you will be playing versus the same deck, I'm sorry, you might not be playing versus the same type of player. Like, for example, you might be playing a guy who's like a grade A monkey, or you might be playing the guy who's like the number one blood player on ladder, which I know right now a lot of you guys are like rolling your eyes, but that does actually count for something, just because there's a reason why he has as many points as he does. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I did not really make much prep work when I said this. I just kind of like went with it impromptu, just because I realized I hadn't actually made any videos in the last like 48 hours or something like that. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and leave a like if you did. Go ahead and let me know about process, or about things that you do when you're trying to climb, to kind of like get you in the mood and kind of keep you going. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.